Menstower Manor. It's written by Christian Michael Dutton, and it's perfect for you guys because it's just for levels 1 to 2, so we can just start a new game, create new characters. But you've already made your characters, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. You don't remember? Okay, that's okay. It's your character. It's your character. And we'll just, do you remember the stats that you rolled? Yeah, we rolled them. We didn't use points. Okay, cool. What was your strength? Your athletics. Is there that? Your constitution. Your dexterity. Your intelligence. Do you remember? Yeah. Your wisdom. And your charisma. Obviously in real life, sky high, but I remember you made the adjustment. Okay. What was your character's name again? Okay, cool. Okay. So yeah, we're playing 3rd edition. I hope that's okay. I'll do the dice rolls if that's cool. But if you want to just, shall I tell you a little bit about the adventure and where it's set and stuff? Yeah? Cool. So, I'll just read the introduction that's written here. So, Menstower Manor has always been haunted, but when 2 young giant boys decide to prove their bravery by going into the house, the City Watch is very concerned. They want to retrieve the boys lest the political backlash turn into something more than they bargained for. So it's an introductory adventure to Monty Cook's Arcana Unearthed, which is a variant of the Player's Handbook, but we don't worry about that. We're going to play this as an independent adventure just to sort of set the scene for you guys and to introduce how you met and everything like that, okay? So, let's take a look. So if it's okay with you, basically you guys are approaching a city called Catwatch, and what I thought was that you were all coming to this place basically because there's a big festival called the Great Passing that's 5 days of feasting, ceremonies and celebrations. Does that sound good? Yeah? Cool. So people come from all around the region to take part in the ceremonies, and I figured that guys could be travelling together and that you could just be looking for a place to stay or wanting to take part in the festivities that are going ahead. Yeah? Cool. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Catwatch, which is the city, because you'll know about that as part of your background. The city of Catwatch is a small burgeoning coastal city bustling with trade, commerce and learning, where one can come to learn a trade in the guilds, learn spellcraft at the Studia Magica Universa, which is the University of Magical Studies, the art of war at the Guild of 9 Swords, or learn watercraft. It's also a dangerous city rife with political intrigue, factions within factions, plots within plots, where assassination, blackmail and other larcenous pursuits are commodities of their own. But while this city is rife with corruption, it maintains a strong law and order. It's built atop ancient ruins of the evil Dramar hidden beneath its sewers, and many ruins dot the countryside all the way to the mountains and beyond. So we're going to start off with you guys. So, you want to hear a little bit more? Okay. So it's called Catwatch because the Latorians, who used to farm and hunt the lands before the Dramar came and drove them off their pastures, built a horrendous city of bellowing smoke and metal using human slaves. For years, the Latorians would watch the city from their mountain retreats and passes and ambush Dramar hunting parties. When the giants came to the continent and freed the humans and other races from their Dramar masters, The Littorians were the first to lead an army into the city walls and bring the city down. The great destruction that followed allowed the Littorians to take back their lands until the giants settled into the city and began to rebuild it. So the Littorians, feeling that the giants might drive them off their lands, like the previous rulers, were cautious. But the giants sent envoys to the various scattered tribes to make peace with those tribes, and told the great cat people they were not to spoil their land. Many of the Littorian tribes accepted the offer and came from the hidden mountain passes and hideaways, while some were not very suspicious, and the giants have remained there since. So Littorians are like a kind of cat-like people. If you think Khajiit is how you pronounce it in the Elder Scrolls franchise, yeah. And that's why the city is called Catwatch, and it's kind of because it's a coastal town. It's a port city. There's going to be crime, there's always going to be crime. Because, like, what do you call them? Smugglers, that's it. Smugglers come in and out of the city, and they'll deliver goods that might be a little bit illegal. Okay, it's worth mentioning that the city is split into different sort of sections. So West Talon is the entrance to the city and has lots of travellers' quarters and things like that. And there's a freeman's quarter, which is named after the free slaves. Human Town is a very poor and violent ward, and most of the population there are human, so you'll be okay. Noble Talon is where the nobility live. The Guild Talon is where the guilds are, and then the Merchant Talon, and then a bunch more that you will learn as you explore the city with each other. Okay? So, let's get started. So, you guys are coming down a road together, and the pounding rain has finally stopped, and you look up to get your bearings while walking down the city streets of Catwatch. The rain has only made the city of shady dealings, fast treachery and an assassin's blade all the gloomier, and you think that it would be good and preferable to be in a warm room with a good ale right now. Your thoughts are interrupted as you slosh through the mud of the wide street surrounded by stone walls and dark-looking military structures. You had hoped that the rain would at least carry away the stench of horse offal and other more vile airs, but it only feels even worse. Suddenly, a whistle to your left blows, and looking in the direction, you see the walled compound known as the Watch Barracks. Apparently the home of the City Watch, the local militia, or maybe both. The outer gates open, and out come some 30 troops towards you, each wearing the garb of the City Watch. One of them, a Sebekai dressed in light armour and bright colourful tunics, points at all of you and barks, "All of you must stop, in the name of the High Magistrate. Resist and you'll be placed under arrest." Okay, so I will say, this is your first big decision in the game. The guards look like they want to talk. They don't look like they want to arrest, so they look like they're being a bit bolshy just to make you capitulate to their demands. They would usually show off manacles or weapons in order to intimidate potential suspects, but they're not doing that in this instance. So, what would you like to do? Okay. Well, they demand that you hand over your weapons to them. That's fair enough. Do you want me to roll an intimidation check? Okay. You failed, I'm afraid. So you don't manage to intimidate the guard. However, you could try reasoning with the Sebekai. Well, they say, the guard says that you're allowed to keep your weapons if you peace bind them. And all that means is that swords, quarterstaffs, maces, whatever, will be tied into their sheaths or onto your back so that you can't draw them. So you'll keep your weapons with you, but you just won't be able to draw them. Does that sound okay? Yeah? Well, the Sibekai is very grateful, and he introduces himself as Blue Sergeant Feros Mordecai. You can tell that he is a serious man, and he says that he's under direct orders to bring you guys before the High Captain, who has requested an audience with you. As you have agreed to be peace bonded, he orders his troops to walk up to you very close and start to tie up your weapons so that you cannot get them out and cause trouble. Okay? And you notice that because you intimidated him, or tried to intimidate him, he is actually kind of respectful towards you and even gives you a little pat on the back. Okay, so you were informed that it'll take about 10 minutes to get to the captain's office. After you've had your weapons taken, the City Watch provide you with some warm cloaks and take your damp ones to dry nearby a fireplace once you reach the watch. The double mahogany doors to the High Captain's office opens, and out flutters a small winged creature that could only be a sprite. The guards and the sergeant immediately snap to attention and salute the sprite. The guards then look at you to salute too. The male sprite has the regal features of a hawk and wears the dark crested blues of the City Watch and a great badge by sprite standards. It's pretty small. That indicates a very high-ranking person within the City Watch. The figure examines each of you with a stern look of resolution and motions to Blue Sergeant Feros. Blue Sergeant, are you taking our guests via carriage to Jarrain Hall? I shall join you shortly to ride there, the sprite commands. Looking to you, the sprite says, Hail, travellers, and welcome to the city of Catwatch, should you be new to our fair city. I am High Captain Jerasin Farrowstar. I am in need of people of your sort who would be willing to earn some gold coin should you hear out our good patron, the sprite speaks. Blue Sergeant Feros will escort you to the carriage. I see that he is peace-bound your weapons. You won't be released for now until the business has been concluded. But I assure you that after the meeting at Jarrain Hall, you will have them unbound and you'll be returned any other belongings that you may have misplaced. That is all. Immediately the sprite flutters back into his office and 2 guards close the door. Blue Sergeant Feros looks at you as in a silent command was given you for you to follow him. Do you follow him? Okay, cool. So you're taken by carriage to the Noble's Talon, which is obviously the noble ward of the city. It's a really garish and opulent place. Like, it's pretty gross. The front of the wall near the entrance bears a big inscription to the largest building that says Jarrain Hall. You're taken into a small study, and after a few minutes, High Captain Jerasin and a giant dressed in noble refinement enters the room. Okay, so the male giant has a really big tummy and is dressed in really, really nice clothes. He looks at you with a bit of disdain, no disgust, and then looks at the captain, who gives a shrug and a weak smile. A small sneer can be seen from the giant, but then he turns to you. The giant speaks in a rough tone. Do you know who I am? Let me tell you who I am. I am the noble, who given circumstances can make miserable lives such as yours very comfortable, or with a simple command can make miserable lives such as yours spend a good deal of time in the dungeon. So listen very carefully to what I propose. My youngest son, Ka Bailud, has run off and is missing. I am presuming it is on a typical boyhood adventure with his friend, a despicable and detestable sort that goes by the name of Lumerge. This Lumerge is a troublemaker and probably put some fool idea in my son to go gallivanting about the town like typically young noble boys do. But Kaya Balyud is too young to be doing this sort of thing, and I need him found quietly and returned home discreetly. As a noble, I am involved in many of the politics of the city and have many enemies. Some who would not hesitate to find my son before I do and use him as a bargaining token in some trade discussion or important noble business the rabble like you would have no ability to comprehend. I wouldn't recommend attacking him right now. Okay? I need you to help my son. Bring him back and I shall give you 50 gold kings each for your effort. If you also bring me that scallywag that my son has been hanging out with, Lou Merge, I will top you off with an extra 10 gold kings each. You are free to refuse, but should you do so, I will see to it that your next employment opportunities with any of the guilds are at the Dung Sweepers and Sewer Cleaners Guild. With that, the giant waves you away for a moment so that he can speak with High Captain Jerison in private. Okay. You gonna do it? You want to negotiate? Okay. You could try to get some of the money up front. It's a diplomacy check. I won't tell you the difficulty. Okay. You give it a go, yeah. You failed. Not critically, but yeah, it was difficulty 20, so you needed a perfect 20 to pass that one. And that would have only just got you like 50% up front. Jarain does not like you guys very much. In fact, you get the vibe that he might not even like your species very much. So, you can ask him some questions now. Okay? My son was seen 3 days ago in the morning after breakfast. I scolded him for not paying too much attention to the studies, and he stormed out of his hall like a spoiled brat. None of the servants saw him leave. Okay. Yes, my son is quite enamoured with sword making, which is a commoner skill for the lower classes. But there is a master craftsman, a rune child by the name of Shilvira, who the lad is quite taken with, and sometimes I have found him there when he shouldn't be. I would check there well and ask her. Yep. My older sons, when they became old enough to learn the proper use of a sword, found themselves attracted to women, did what all the young nobles do. They disguise themselves as free men and go slumming, which means they head to the seedier parts of town to drink, gamble, and pursue other hedonistic pursuits. My son may have gone to Human Town. If you go there, you will find very little friends of any giant in that slum, and your weapons better be unbounded. Okay. So, do you agree to do the work? Cool. As you go out, Feros presents you with some passes that you'll need. These are only good for 3 nights, so you only have 3 nights to complete the mission, the quest. He also unbinds your weapons, and then you are free to go ahead and investigate. So, what would you like to do? Okay. You think Human Town? Okay, yeah, Human Town. Let's go to Human Town then. So, you go to Human Town, and it is a hole. It is not a nice place. It's actually not that there are many humans there, it just seems to be that a lot of the property owners are humans, so they're the ones running the nefarious businesses and stuff like that. There are a lot of prostitutes and a lot of seedy businessmen. So, yeah. Do you want to do a gather information check? Well, you walk into a pub, okay, and there are some men there. Let's give it a go. Trying to do gather information. Okay. I know who you're talking about, my friend. They ain't no humans either. Those are them young giant nobles come down there for some fun. I tells you that one of them is Lumerge and the devil take him. That one, up to no good of those two. I heard they're bragging on taking on the old house up the quarter in the Freeman's Quarter. He doesn't know anything more about the old house, and he says that you should probably avoid the topic. So you go outside the pub, and there are two men waiting for you. Two Hugh men. One of them approaches you and pushes you. You've been asking about the old house. What do? You push back. Okay. He falls flat on his bum and looks very embarrassed. But then his friend draws a knife, so we're starting an encounter, okay? So how do you want to do this? Roll for initiative. Okay. Cool. Okay. Now they're going to go, okay? Oh, one of them gets you in the gut. You're bleeding profusely. Okay. Oof, your arrow flies through the night sky and through the rain, piercing through the water droplets as it does, and lands squarely in the centre of the ruffian's head. His friend, obviously very intimidated by this murder, runs away, and you should probably do the same too. Okay, you want to check on... Yeah? So you rifle through the thug's things, and you discover a piece of paper which has got a crude bit of writing on it, but you don't understand the language. Yes, you do. Do you want to have a look? Well done. It says Menstower Manor, 2 a.m. Well done. Okay. So, you make your way to Menstower Manor, and it turns out that this is the old house that people were talking about. And it's huge. All the doors are really tough looking. It's a grand house by the standards that you've seen in the Freeman's Quarters, and with a large L-shaped manor sitting atop a small hillcock with a tower on the east end. The manor looks to be in good condition, with bright red brick lining along the outside of the walls, except for the tower. The tower is made of standard mason blocks of chiselled stone and is completely covered with vines running up the entire sides of the tower all the way to its roof. The front entrance has a large brass-plated sign written in common, reading Menstower Manor. A double gate blocks your way, but where there used to be a chain and lock has been sawed through, and the chain lies on the ground, broken. Through the gates you can clearly see an overgrown front lawn of the manor that has a cobblestone path leading up to the front steps. All the windows of the manor are completely boarded up, and you can see that someone has clearly pulled out the boards and apparently went in through the main entrance. Okay? And we're going to leave it there. We'll continue this another night. It's too late now. Okay? Thanks for coming around, guys. It's been fun. I hope you enjoyed it so far. Sorry if I was a bit rusty. I haven't DM'd for ages. But see you next time. Okay, cool. See ya.